the White House is looking at taking an actual stake in Intel and could use money from Biden's CHIPS Act to do it. How do you see that?
Well, I see it as a distinct possibility, and especially because, well, if you look at where the chips are produced, the most important chips in the world, which I can say is probably twofold, of course, AI chips, but also defense types of chips, and not just for the US, but drones and all manner of smart, killing machines that they use in the in defense are made on an island 60 miles away from Taiwan, or from China, called Taiwan. And oh, by the way, there's earthquakes there too. So it doesn't seem like it would be the natural place to have all your eggs in one basket.
And
maybe Intel can change that.
Kim, I think it's a great angle, right? The national defense angle. In case we're in a war and someone cuts off those supplies, we're in trouble. Is Intel the right company in which to take a stake? Is Intel the right vehicle with which to make chips?
Well, I mean, I think it's close enough for government work. I love that phrase. Because what does that mean? Well, it's not exactly 100%. Taiwan Semi would be that name because, well, they're on Taiwan, but also they make the world's most exotic chips, and they do it at yields that are impressive. And Intel has struggled to catch up. That being said, it's not out of the realm of possibility for Intel to catch up. And oh, by the way, 75% of their chip making capability is right here in the US.
So how much do you think the US should take, and what are the best plans for Intel? I mean, they did want to build a $30 billion fab in Licking County, Ohio. Is that something that they need to revive plans to do?
I would say maybe look at what they've got, right? I like that approach of incremental as opposed to let's build new. But that being said, I don't really know what the right amount is. I'm pretty much a straight up capitalist. I think companies fighting each other for competitive advantages and trying to serve customers is the best way to go. But I understand that the government would have to own something to be able to give it, essentially gobs of money and maybe some outside support from things that it owns, like maybe the Jet Propulsion Laboratory or other smart government kind of think tanks. So I understand. I don't know. I would not like to see it own a lot, and I certainly wouldn't like to see it, the government dictating Intel's business at a broader scale.
Kim, what's your take on the export tax that this administration wants to slap on NVIDIA and AMD? Because if you look at these things through the national security lens, and that makes sense, that deal would seem like we're willing to sell some national security at a certain level.
Well, we always are. We're capitalists here. And, we have, none of this is new. I've been in the world of software, and you had to go through some pretty strict rules to be able to sell your software outside of the US. And you could get a thumbs down for many reasons, not all that were explained to you necessarily. So none of this is new. So I'm not really sure that this is really selling the top jewels to China through AMD and NVIDIA's kind of B, not A products, but B or C products. So that's one thing. The other thing is, quite honestly, if there's a will, there's a way. I'm sure that a lot of the top-rated chips, the Blackwell chips, are finding their way into China, and in not direct routes, we'll just call it. So let's try to control what we can control. And I think that's a good way to go for not just chips, but software as well.
But as an investor, do you have to watch out for the next company that has to promise a share of its revenue to the, I guess, to the White House, but really to the American taxpayer, right, in order to do business overseas?
Sure, well, it does seem like that is the trend here. But the good news is that these chips aren't, they are in demand, and the price is what the price is. So 15% higher doesn't seem like it's a huge barrier to anyone that really wants these chips. The Blackwell chips are a lot more expensive than the chips that we are offering up. So, and they'd rather have those, right? But I don't think it's a huge barrier because the companies are probably going to pass that price along.
In order to avoid much higher prices for chips here in the U.S., big companies like Apple can make, as President Trump told us, investments in the U.S. and get a carve-out. What does that mean for smaller companies that are historically also very important to the development of technology in America?
Sure. Well, I think they have to pay attention to that, right? Right now, we're talking about hardware, but software is a whole different category. Oddly enough, Synopsys was forced to guarantee that China can access all of its chip software development tools in perpetuity to allow this Ansys deal that went on. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. Ansys is a small Pittsburgh company, and but those small companies can be mighty. And, I think that everybody that is entering this area as a new company or, the ones that are here are going to have to pay attention to now being the focus of the government. And it is what it is, and it's just another barrier. It's pretty much the same as any regulation that comes your way.